My name is Rachel Vence. I work at LPL Financial, and this is my why. So I had a wonderful time in the service. I was in the Coast Guard for 5 years. I wanted to be a fire control technician. Unfortunately, at that time, the Navy did not allow women to do that job because it was considered a combat rate. And so I initially wanted to go into the Navy as my father and grandfather had done, but I couldn't do that specific rate or job. So I went to the same Navy A school. I just did it in the Coast Guard. When I graduated from A school, I was one of only 4 women in the Coast Guard that did that job. So I came to LPL almost 5 years ago, and at the time I was hired in as a QA manager, and I was very fortunate to be able to focus on white box testing. When I began my interest in LPL, there were a number of things that were very intriguing to me. One was at the time we had a VP specifically for quality assurance, and we had an AVP who was a woman in the quality assurance group. So I was intrigued that it would be an opportunity to work for a woman in a focus specifically on technology. I didn't have that experience at previous employers. We didn't have women very high up in the technology chain of command. As I got out of the service and then started working in the technology field, there were things in the professional capacity that were as simple as someone asking me if I was going to have children during an interview and making comments when I was pregnant with my children that obviously now I would be less effective at my job because I was going to have to split my time as a mother. Yet I never heard those comments made to my male coworkers who were becoming fathers, and their role was equally important. When I became a mother at a previous employer, they understood the California law that they needed to provide me lactation accommodations so that I could pump for my child. But they weren't necessarily prepared to do that. But I honestly had to pump in a cold server room. That was the best that they had available. As a direct contrast, here at LPL, all of the floors have wellness rooms. Fortunately, I think I was raised to really understand my value and my core as an individual, not as one facet of me, which is being a woman. And I think it's very important to teach my 2 young daughters that inclusion is for everyone. It's also important that I teach my son that he understands that it's not just women, but that he has a role to play in that as well. LPL is amazing with inclusion, and it's not just for me as a woman and not just for me as a veteran, but it's given me insight into other areas that I wouldn't have considered. With the employee resource groups that we have here, I'm able to learn about different cultures and different facets of other people. Just simply looking around at the team, there are more faces that are female. There are more faces